Hi everyone, welcome back to the Creator Economy stage. We have a really exciting session up for you now. We have Sarah Potter, who is Dove's Global Masterbrand Director, and Meagan Wells, who's a content creator. And we're going to explore Dove's new creator-led campaign, #ShareTheFirst. So please welcome to the stage Sarah and Meagan to talk about storytelling, amplification, and the power of taking social content off the grid and out into the wild. Welcome on stage. You enjoy the red seats. Yeah, comfy. Great. Well, Sarah, I'm going to start with you. So let's start at the beginning. For anyone who's not familiar, tell us a little bit about your Share the First campaign. What did you really set out to do with the campaign, and what was the kind of cultural insight or kind of tension behind it?
Yeah, thank you, and super exciting to be here today. So with Share the First, it was actually our first ever global end-to-end creator marketing campaign. It was rooted in the insight that 9 in 10 women take up to 50 photos before sharing the first. I'm definitely one of those women. This morning, took a few selfies, had my hair done. Have I shared any of it on social media? No. I'm sat there feeling self-conscious. So for us, what we did was really look at that universal truth and behavior. I think many people can resonate with that. It was an insight which we felt had an application globally. So for us, it was all about kind of finding that really rich social conversation. It's very much an extension of the work that we do on Dove. For 20 years, we've been committed to raising awareness about body confidence, self-esteem. It's almost an extension of some of the campaign work we've done in the past. Our campaign, Turn Your Back, we were tackling the toxic bold glamour filter on TikTok. We really want to make anything positive for women, so I think for us, we're kind of always rooted in that insight.
And I feel like in beauty especially, it can get a little bit like sea of same in terms of marketing. So was there a certain conversation you really wanted to unlock with this campaign, and sort of how did you go about really making it a bit more than just a sort of platitude that lots of other brands are going after?
Yeah, I think for us, we always go back to our North Star, which is real beauty. Making sure that we're kind of focusing on something which will raise awareness about body confidence, self-esteem. We actually worked with a UK-based content creator, Lucy Reeves, to test the concept before we went live. So we therefore knew it was going to work for the community. I think that was very important for us, to hear from the community, their feedback. Is this something which feels real for you? Are your community going to resonate with what you're saying? So I think for us, that's very much a key focus.
So that's so interesting. I'd love to hear, what were the mechanics of that? Did you kind of bring her into the office? I feel like a lot of brands don't do that very crucial step. We kind of used to doing consumer insights panels, but this is just a natural extension of that. How did you kind of do that?
Yeah, very much so. Meagan and I were actually chatting this morning over breakfast. She's been part of some of the work that we've done on Dove, testing concepts. It's not just on campaigns, with innovations as well. So we might kind of be looking at the latest fragrance, texture, packaging. We'll bring in our Dove community, many who have been with us for more than 10 years. These are long-term relationships. They understand the brand. They have the same values as us. They're talking about body confidence, self-esteem. They're not distorting their images. So to bring them in from the content, not just for content creation, but really from an insights perspective, it's been invaluable. We actually launched a product last year, a scalp scrub, which many of the women in the room will probably know. A lot of the scalp scrubs come with a twisty top. It makes such a mess in the bathroom. Through that workshop and the insights that we gathered from that, the product now comes in a squeezy tube. So without that, with our community, we wouldn't be able to do that. And Meagan's been a huge part of that with us as well.
So how did you feel kind of being in part of I guess you're behind the lens of this and in front of the lens of this shift. And I feel like this brief probably came to you, it's quite different to the kind of briefs that creators get from brands that are quite sort of product level. How did it feel to have to sort of execute something that was really emotionally resonant? How did it make you feel to receive that brief and to start kind of planning your content?
I think because my content is a lot based at women who are my age, who are millennials, a lot of Gen Z. To be fair, my content, it goes out to 20-year-olds to 70-year-olds, and we're all dealing with the same problems. So the fact that a brand has even thought about this and thought about, well, no product, we're just literally doing this for women to make a change. I was like, yes, this is exactly what I'll be doing anyway. So the fact that user backed it with data and with resources as well, to go, you've got somewhere else to go after this. It's not just you sit with this for. It's go to this website. They do really good, on the Dove website, they have information of how to tackle certain things or like podcasts to listen to in the future and things like that. Dove are the only ones who are doing it. So to do the share the first, that is a problem that everyone deals with. Me, my friends, my family. So I was like, this is exactly what we should be doing right now.
Yeah, I would love to talk about the kind of arms and legs that grew out of this in a minute. But in terms of your audience, when you posted something like this, I'm presume it was very positive, your reaction from your audience, but it's quite different. I feel like audiences now are quite canny, like we can kind of see product placement, and then it's probably quite interesting for them to see something that isn't just you like slathering on, moisturizer, as you would maybe presume from a body campaign. So what kind of comments were you getting? What was the sentiment?
I think one thing it really helps with is trust. Like a lot of people will go, well, where's the selling point? When am I seeing the product? And when it doesn't come, they're like, no, these people actually care about me and care about my journey and how I feel as a brand and as a content creator. Because a lot of people now, it's to do with community and giving back to your community. That's how you'll grow in this industry now. So it really makes people think, no, I feel seen, heard. And as soon as it went up, the comments, it grabs people like no other ad would. It's got an ad, but it's not really an ad. It feels like it's like a big brand message where you're like, oh, that's always stuck with us, and it'll stick in your head all day. So it's the nicest thing to put on my feed. And it's the fact that it's with a brand like Dove, you're like, yeah, this one's for the girls.
And it feels like such a natural fit working with partners like Meagan.
Yeah.
I think I mentioned before, we're always looking for content creators who meet our brand values. So you're already speaking about body confidence, self-esteem. So it made it very simple for us to share campaigns like that. I think that natural fit, the fact the relationship feels so real and authentic. We're sitting together talking about the campaign, the insights, we're fully immersing our community into the Dove world. It makes it, resonate both with the community and with our consumers.
So is this the kind of new way now for you guys in the Dove team? So when you're thinking about your storytelling in any campaign, do creators kind of come right at the start? If they're going to be in it, they come in at the start and they kind of a thread all the way through in terms of how you're working on campaigns now?
Yeah, I'd say we always go back to social listening. So all our campaigns are built on an insight. So whether that's a conversation, a piece of research, we need to make sure we're having a conversation that feels right for us as a brand. We can't tackle every issue, every trend, but also something which feels culturally relevant. Like, what's that heat? What's that tension? So we'll always start there. And then, yes, we'll bring in our creator community from the start. So, sharing the concepts before they go live, getting that feedback. With Share the First, it was what made it possible for us to go live in 14 markets in 14 days. And in some markets, we were live within 48 hours from brief. We wouldn't be able to do that without having a community ready to go, but also kind of getting them up to speed in terms of what we're sharing, what we want to talk about. So I feel very lucky on Dove. We've got a CEO that is very invested in influencer marketing. I haven't had to convince anyone it works. We're definitely not having to pivot our strategy. It's just about accelerating that. So we'll definitely be scaling that work up. I think I've touched a little bit on how we do it from an innovation perspective, but campaigns, we're building global creator councils across the globe. The community are feeding in from the start, and that's so important. They know what works for their community. They know what works for their followers. So I think we need to really trust that process. They're very much our true partners, very much moved away from not just being the amplifiers of content, but really kind of our creative and strategic partners as well.
So, operationally, getting a campaign live in 14 days, anyway, but globally, what kind of steps, were there any kind of revisions or culturally relevant things you had to tweak in the campaign? Operationally, talk me a little bit through how you pulled that off.
Yeah, well, we were just talking a little bit this morning about the benefit of technology. So we have WhatsApp groups, Teams chats. For us, this wasn't a planned campaign. It was agile. We spotted that trend, that insight, and went live. We didn't have 6 months to plan it. We weren't able to kind of get feedback for rounds of revisions. We just had to run with it. We wanted to kind of feel like it was very relevant. So we just went. So I think for us, Meagan's laughing because we were talking this morning about how great it is to have these WhatsApp chats, but you never really switched off. I think some of my team are in the room today. I'd like to say that we're chronically online. So I have a work phone and a personal phone. I think they both hit about 6 hours of screen time a day.
I think that's all right, actually. 6 hours. Oh, gosh. So, Meagan, from your point of view, I feel like there's so much talk now about the new golden rules of creative partnerships, and they have to be so integrated, but then at the same time, every brand wants to get that spike and the trending influencer. From your perspective, what do you see kind of in your kind of consideration space are the most valuable kind of ingredients in a partnership with a brand now?
I think for me, even the fact of putting time in, sitting on a Zoom, if it's 5 minutes you've got, or it's a half an hour you've got, to go through things like briefs and to go, we want to hear from you. This is work and product. It's not just, here's a brief, you've got to go to it X, Y, Z. It's never going to resonate. And as you say, the consumer knows what's coming now. They're waiting for the hashtag ad. So if you can make it a way of like, I know what works well with them, what is your like USP, we can make it work together. And even from like Dove's point of view, to even talk to the team and they can have my insight, you've got to think, you work with creators that deal with their community every day. We have got so much data inside of our head of what works, what doesn't, what like link clicks and things like that work, ways to like integrate selling points into your content that you probably wouldn't have, because it's constantly, we've got a finger on the pulse. So utilize that with your content creators, because it's like invaluable information. So it's really nice to even be like seen, to be on a call with such a big brand like Dove and like be noticed for your work.
Yeah, and I think for us, brands aren't the ones creating the trends, it's the content creator. We're relying on them to kind of amplify the content, and which is why with our briefs, we limit it to 2 key messages. We're not scripted, as Meagan said, we're getting that feedback. We want to give, we call it a bit of a freedom within a framework as such. So I think for us, that's incredibly important. We have to give up that control for it to work. I mean, for me, I just love the beauty of creator marketing. If you give 3 content creators the same brief, you'll get back 3 exactly different pieces of content. You just wouldn't get that with traditional advertising.
And from a sort of operational point of view, I feel like maybe you'll say you have some creators that you go to that can turn that content around. But if you're sat in-house or at an agency and like a really reactive opportunity comes up, but that unless you can get that content live in like 2 days, it's just not going to happen. Do you have like cohorts of creators that are your like fast turnaround ones, or what are your like cheat codes to like make this actually happen?
Well, I think for us across the globe, we have a community of content creators that partner with us on multiple campaigns. We have that set up already. So correct, we wouldn't be able to go live within 48 hours with an idea if we'd have to contract that creator, brief, kind of bring them into the brand, immerse them. That's not possible in 48 hours, or not in my world. So for us, it's about having those partnerships in every market. So, there's upwards of, hundreds and thousands of creators that we're working with across the globe. They're not just speaking about, share the first. Meagan and I chatted this morning. She's spoken about our Dove Beauty Bar. She's spoken about whole body deos. So for us, it's like, the brand. So that what makes it possible to go live so quickly is that they're part of our Dove family already.
So tell me, I think we referenced earlier that this campaign kind of went on social, but it also sort of went elsewhere as well. So how did you integrate it? I guess the creator element was first and foremost, but in terms of brand social, was there kind of paid elements, out of home, anything like that? And how did that sort of manifest? And is it got a bit of a long tail as well?
Yeah, so every asset was created with content creators. That's from the owned to the outdoor to social. What that means is we took the best performing content off social media and put it in an outdoor in Liverpool Street. That's 64 digital placements. We also took that content to Nice quite recently and did an airport takeover. I like to say the best performing content shouldn't just stay online. With the activation at Liverpool Street, we were able to reach an additional 4 million. We wouldn't be able to do that without having that agility of having that content. We didn't go through a big production process. There was no casting. There was no big shoot. There was no long editing process. The beauty of the creator content was we could take it straight offline and put it in an outdoor. So I think for us, that was game-changing. It was a little bit of an experiment as well. We hadn't done that before. Our own social asset was also developed with creators. So for us, I think it just made the process seamless. It also made it feel super relevant. We had extremely high likes, engagements, shares. That you're seeing that content in a super authentic way.
And then Meagan, for you, I guess with content as it is now, you need to kind of keep on top of your game, keep on top of your content pillars. How conscious are you about this kind of thing now? Obviously, it's a huge thing to have a brand like Dove wanting to partner with you. How do you kind of keep yourself aligned to these kind of brands? Is it conscious, or is it just ideally something that happens naturally? And kind of how contrived do you have to be to keep yourself relevant and your content still working?
I think for me, you've literally just got to be yourself and follow your heart. You can't fake a persona because it'll never read well. Brands will say it, the consumer won't say it. So I think if you've got a niche that you want to rein in and you're passionate about it, brands will see that passion and they'll go, that's my girl, that's my boy. That is the person for this brand. And for me, I've always used the data of what's worked well on my socials, pop little bits in, tried stuff out. Don't be too scared to try new things with your community. They want to see more. That's the thing I've realised. Stop putting yourself in one little avenue, because then you've got a expiry date really on you. So I think for me, I've always, like, my thing in the social media is body positivity, women's confidence, just building that women-heavy community. And so when Dove did these sort of things, it just lands on my profile so much easier. So even when we were outdoors and it came on the tube, the amount of women from my community who are taking pictures and going, girl, I seen you on the tube.
So
and I'm like, they'll stop because they feel like they're my friend. So they'll go, oh my God, my friend's there, rather than it being a model, which I think makes it so much easier for like the shares to reshares. Like, people love to see faces that they know. So
yeah, I feel there's a real trend in like out of home specifically where like the non-social content like becomes the social content again. It's like really, really remarkable. So Sarah, I mean, I would just love to hear any advice. You say, you know, your CEO is super open-minded, but some CEOs might not be as such, or you're working with a small brand with limited budgets or a big brand with more red tape. What were kind of the hot buttons you'd advise people to kind of press internally to get something like this over the line? Because I'm sure everyone has their sort of measurement metrics in their head that they find really comforting, and maybe you can't commit to those with something like this. So how did you get your internal teams to really believe in this campaign?
Yeah, I mean, we've been building our kind of creative community and influence marketing portfolio on the brand for, you know, up nearly 10 years. But we had to start with really sharing kind of the results. I think, you know, working for a large business, you know, we want to see, like, what's that impact on the business? You know, are we seeing uplifts in purchase intent, brand consideration, brand recall? And with Share the First, we conducted a brand uplift study so we could really show that impact. And we saw significant increases in brand consideration, purchase intent, but also more importantly, we saw a shift in social media behavior. And actually what that meant was that more women and girls felt freer to post authentically and share those joyful first moments. And I think Meagan touched on it. You know, beyond those metrics, what was super exciting for me was to see Meagan, Rania, Naomi go down to Liverpool Street and kind of film that content on the tube organically. We actually had Rania, one of our content creators, take her kids down. And it's just something so special to see yourself in an outdoor. I think you just touched on it there. Like, your friends are going down and like, this is my mate, let me take a photo. So I think that resonance, as well as the kind of traditional brand performance metrics, are super important.
Just checking if we have, I'm sure we've got some Q&As coming through. Yes. So what about kind of paid, like programmatic, social? Did the campaign live there as well? Someone's asked this specific question, or was it more sort of social than out of home?
Yeah, our focus was social and out of home, and of course we boost our content, so, you know, make sure we get the reach from that. You know, I touched on like the best performing content being taken offline and shared in outdoor. I think we took that global as well, taking it to Nice, doing an airport takeover. So the campaign really does live on.
Yeah.
And we had it on our own social channel, which is global. So I think reaching, you know, multiple markets. You know, Dove is present in 153 markets, so that content was shared globally. You know, we had 14 markets go live. So, you know, from Vietnam to France, Germany, Brazil, USA, Canada. So it really did have like a huge global relevance for us.
And I guess I feel like with Dove, you always have a slightly bigger purpose, like, to your campaigns, and you really want to see like a cultural shift. So I guess closing thoughts on, do you see, you know, finally we're kind of seeing a bit of a change in the conversation around this topic on social from consumers? And then I'd love to hear the creator side as well.
Yeah, I think Anna touched on it earlier. We did see the shift in social media behavior, and that's a, you know, a relevant data point from a brand uplift study. But I think also just seeing the comments in our community's feeds and hearing from Meagan and everyone what was said. I like to use a bit of a motto in my personal life, which is always be fun. And that doesn't mean silly or stupid. That doesn't work for every brand. But I think fun can be a great connector. It can really bring people in. And with Share the First, that's exactly what we did. We wanted to bring back that, you know, joyful, fun moment for the first photo. So I think the fact we were able to see, you know, the business metrics from that, the positive comments, the sentiment, and hear directly from our community and partners, like how much it resonated with the community, you know, that really is success for me.
And do you feel like brand campaigns can really sort of change the tone going on social media, because it can be a pretty wild place?
I really feel like once a brand backs it, it really makes the consumer feel like you've got to be accountable for yourself, because it's so easy to go, oh yeah, there's so many women, so many stats. When the one thing I love about Dove, they do a lot of like ads, and it's women just like us who look like us, and it makes you think, oh yeah, this is aimed at me, not just as a stat of women. So it really makes you think, sit at home and go, can I make a change in myself? It's not just what the future future is or what the past is. It's literally what's happening right now. So I feel like that's one thing my community has said, like, okay, I have made a change. This is the picture. I've posted the first, which was so nice to see. I'm like, too right, you should.
Yeah, I think it was such a resonant campaign, and we're at time now, but I just look forward to see you coming up with more in the future, because it's what the industry needs, and it's really admirable. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.